Alright, guys, so the showrunner of the upcoming Amazon Prime God of War adaptation just went on a little yap session on the Katie Sackhoff podcast, and it may potentially get him into some hot waters with gamers because their opinions really matter. I'm kidding. Gamers don't get mad. I know you get upset very easily. But yeah, he basically said that he hasn't played the game. So I kind of wanted to just listen to him talk about it because there is some actual news in here about how many seasons have already been greenlit and whatnot. So we're just going to react to it and see what he got to say.
Fine.
What are you looking at doing next? Can you talk about what you're doing right now?
Oh, right now I'm working on an adaptation of, there's a video game called God of War. There's a big title in the gaming world that Amazon has ordered 2 seasons of, and they have asked me to come in, so I'm
So yeah, that's actually new information, I believe. I don't think it's been reported that Amazon has already ordered 2 seasons of it ahead of time. So it's like, on the one hand, that's like, I guess, like, positive news about how they're feeling when it comes to the stuff that they've worked on thus far, but it's also like, well, I guess he's going to get into it later, but they're still in the writing room, apparently. Like, apparently the scripts aren't written or anything like that. So all that really means, so it doesn't actually mean that. All it really means is that Amazon has way too much money to throw around.
literally in the writer's room and, working on that. That's my new thing.
That's such a daunting property.
Yeah, and I'm not a gamer, so it's even more like, okay, I've never done this before.
How do you try to play the game?
I've tried. I'm not a gamer. I've taken a stab at it, but I don't have. I grew up in the arcade era. Where you go down and you put your quarters in and bang on the buttons. So I could do that. I'll play Defender. Got a Defender game or Asteroids? Sure, bring it on, baby.
I was very good at Asteroids and Street Fighter.
Centipede.
Oh my god, I killed Centipede.
All that.
Oh my god.
But the controllers now, it's like
no, they have like buttons here and like
press R1. Which one's R1? Oh, I'm dead.
Yeah.
Gamers hate this stuff. They hate this stuff. Like whenever they hear that, somebody's working on a video game adaptation and they're like, yeah, like I think it's the case with the Halo show from what I remember, where the people that made that show were like, yeah, we didn't play the Halo games, but like, Bungie, they came down and the Bungie are the developers of the Halo games, currently it's 343 Industries. Those are the developers of the current Halo games. And they're like, yeah, we went down to 343 Studios and they gave us the rundown, and it's like, we get the gist of it. We don't need to actually play it, you know what I mean? This is what I don't understand. I don't understand how Amazon / Sony, right? They own the God of War license. I believe the way that this stuff works is Sony, they have a PlayStation production studio that I think makes their movies and TV shows. And so technically Sony is making the show, and I think Amazon Prime is possibly like funding it, and it's obviously going to be on Amazon Prime. But either way, and I'm sure Amazon Prime has their input on the show as well, so whatever. The people that are involved in making the show, how is the PR department not sitting down with Ronald D. Moore and going like, okay, we're bringing you on to be the showrunner of this. That's great. That's awesome. We love you, all the work that you've done. How is it possible that they don't sit him down and go, all right, if you ever talk about the show publicly, don't bring up the fact that you haven't played it. Or if you do bring up the fact that you haven't played it, be sure to follow that up with like, oh, but I've watched, I brought on my nephew or something, and I watched them play through the games, and the story is incredible and the lore is very rich, and I have a lot of really great plans to faithfully adapt Kratos and the mythology and all of that. And like, I just don't understand how it's possible it is currently March 18th of 2025 that the people making these things don't just know like the basics of the things that you should say and the things that you shouldn't say when promoting like adaptations of stuff. You know? And listen, at the end of the day, do I personally care all that much? Not really. You know, like, I don't really care if an adaptation of something is faithful or not faithful to the original source material, you know? In fact, I kind of hate that mentality where it's like, it just feels like a lot of modern audiences, at least on the internet, have the mentality of, I want to consume the same piece of media over and over again. So if you're making an adaptation of something, you need to make it just like the original. You know, like whether it be people. Well, by the way, like I'm not going to say that the Halo show is particularly good, but when most of the complaints about it are like, he doesn't wear the helmet, or sorry, no. Oh yeah, it's like, he takes off his helmet. I don't like that. It's like, that's such a like, who cares about that? So like, and listen, if Ronald D. Moore or whatever wants to make a God of War show, and it's just like completely different from the games, I don't care. It is like, I personally don't care. But they need to understand the reality of the situation of like, or like just from a PR perspective of like, maybe don't bring that up. Like, maybe don't bring up the fact that you haven't played the games. Maybe don't bring up the fact that, or like when you're talking about it, like talk about how great the games are. Like bring up how good the games are, how good the stories are, in order to appease the fans. Like it's just like these basic things that I don't understand how these PR departments do not sit down their talent and talk to them about. Because here's the thing, by the way, like Ronald D. Moore, he's one of the all-time great showrunners, right? Like, well, to be fair, I actually haven't seen any of the things he's showran, but I understand that his Battlestar Galactica show is considered one of the great TV shows of all time. Outlander, I'm pretty sure is pretty critically acclaimed. I've only ever heard good things about For All Mankind, and I'm pretty sure that his Star Trek stuff that apparently he worked on, I think it's considered good, right? I don't actually know. But I know that he's considered one of the great showrunners. So it's like, I'm pretty sure that his God of War thing is going to end up at least being a good show, if not, you know, completely faithful to the source material. But it's just like, you have to understand the environment that we exist in nowadays where, listen, I don't like it. I think it's annoying. Like, I'd much rather have Ronald D. Moore be, like, just open and upfront and feel free to express himself however he wants to. But it's like, I just know, like, by the way, I haven't gone on Twitter and I looked. I guarantee you if I go to Twitter, you're going to have people on Twitter being like, why need I keep on hiring people to make these shows and don't know what they're doing, they don't have, like, I already know what the discourse is going to be. So, I don't know, man. Anyways, I guess we'll finish watching this.
Oh, and I can't quite get over that moment of, meanwhile, my kids, of course, do it like it's nothing. My wife can do it.
Really?
Yeah, Terry plays Skyrim. She's a Skyrim fan.
That's very cute, though. He has a little story about how his wife likes Skyrim.
She's played that for probably 15 years.
Oh, my God.
Loves it. Goes in because it's an open world game. And she likes going in. She goes and kills dragons to get money to build houses and cultivate crops and cook and build out. And then she runs out of money and it's like, oh, I guess I got to go kill some more dragons. And off she goes, you know? So it's like a whole thing. She loves it.
Oh my God. That's like, she's like a character to be written. That's just...
She's like that, well, I don't want to be disrespectful. I'm sure she's not that old, but it reminds me of there's like a really elderly lady that plays Animal Crossing. It's like, and then she plays like one of the Animal Crossings on the 3DS. Like, she has not moved on to the Switch version because she has her specific like town that she's totally dedicated to. You can find that YouTube video.
hysterical.
Yeah, is that great?
That's like you just...
Yeah.
I'm just killing dragons so I can plant my garden.
Yeah, that's all she does.
That's absolutely hysterical. I mean, thank you.
But yeah, like, listen, if you are a God of War fan, if you are seething at the mouth, if you're like, I'm upset, oh, I'm angry, I would not worry too much about this, because it's entirely possible, because he didn't go too deep into it, right? Like, it's entirely possible that he sat down and had his wife play the game for him, right? And he absorbed the story and the narrative. It's possible that he's like a Tony Gilroy type of filmmaker, where, you know, Tony Gilroy, he's not the biggest Star Wars fan, but he surrounds himself with Star Wars fans when he's making Andor, and, you know, he consults those Star Wars fans to try to make it as, you know, as faithful as possible or whatever. Because at the end of the day, like, yeah, I'm just being completely honest, I would much rather have like a Tony Gilroy making a Star Wars thing, even though he's maybe not like the biggest Star Wars fan, than a Dave Filoni, who is obviously a massive Star Wars fan and obviously like one of the most knowledgeable people on Star Wars that exists. You want to know why? Because Tony Gilroy is just a better filmmaker. And Andor like pisses and shits and comes all over anything that Dave Filoni has ever done. So it's like, would I rather have somebody who's like a diehard God of War fan, who's like a mediocre filmmaker making a God of War show, or Ronald D. Moore? Sorry, I'm going to take Ronald D. Moore. And, you know, hopefully, ideally, he's done his due diligence here. But either way, and not that I necessarily even care that much about it being faithful to the source material, like I've explained, but even if you are somebody that cares about that, do not put up your or put away your pitchforks and your torches until we learn more to see exactly what his learning process was like. But yeah, either way, PR departments do better. You should really be preparing your talent way better for interviews and press and whatnot, because I don't understand how this stuff keeps happening. But either way, let me know what you think about any and all this in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.